Now let's do some application problems involving combining functions. So example 3 says, suppose that the total weekly cost for the production and sale of televisions is C of X, and that the total revenue is given by R of X, where X is the number of televisions and C of X and R of X are in dollars. So part A wants us to write the equation of a function that models the weekly profit from the production and sale of X amount of televisions. So I don't have profit, I have revenue and I have cost. But we have a formula that says that our profit equals the amount that we are bringing in minus our cost. And we've actually already have done this before, so we have already been combining functions before we had a lesson on combining functions. So just like when I subtract f of x minus g of x, we need to remember that when I am subtracting this cost function, I need to make sure I subtract the entire function, not just the first term. And so in order to do that, we've got to make sure we put that in parentheses. So my p of x equals, what is my revenue? My revenue is 988x minus my cost, right here. Now again, if I don't put this in parentheses, the only thing I'm subtracting from that cost function is this first term. I'm not subtracting this right here. So to make sure we subtract all of it, that goes in parentheses. So now we just need to distribute and then simplify. So 988x comes down, and then we will distribute that negative into that entire cost function. So we'll have minus 198x, and then negative times positive here makes us minus 5460. So now if I combined these like terms, my p of x function is $799x minus 5460. Okay, part B wants to know, what is the profit on the production and sale of 80 television sets in a given week? Well, we're told up here that X represents televisions. So if I am having 80 televisions, that means that 80 is representing my X. So we will have P of 80 equals 799 times 80 minus 5460. So my profit will be 58,460. And we're talking about profits, we're talking about money. So $58,460. Now write the function that gives the average profit per television. So we actually have already seen an average function here, and that was last lesson. Here we wanted to know, this was lesson 7, example 3. We wanted to know the monthly average cost of producing sofas, and that was our C of X with a line over that C. And that line over that C was representing average. So same thing here. If I am wanting the average profit, now this becomes P with a line over it of X. And all your average is you add up the amount that you have. So let's say the most I'm trying to say here, The most common one is finding like the average of your grades, right? So let's say you have 10 homework assignments. You add up the score that you made on those 10 homework assignments, and then you divide it by the number of assignments you had, 10. So same thing, if this is my profit function, if I want to know the average profit per TV, I'm going to take whatever I'm putting in here and dividing it by that number. So this will be 799x minus 5460 all over x. So you just take whatever that function is and divide it by x. So then what is the average profit per television if 80 are produced and sold? So we'll have P with the line over it of x equals, this is still representing, oops, my x. So I'm substituting in x and for both of these now. So 799 times 80 minus 5460 all over 80. Now with this one, since we've already found what the profit is for 80, I know what this top number is. So this is 58,460 divided by 80. I already have that number in here. I'm just going to divide that by 80. And the average amount of profit per TV is about $730.75. Now we can just take this number here, since specifically they gave me the same number, and divide that number by my x. But in case I needed to do this from the beginning, I do want to make sure you type this in your calculator right, because if you type this in kind of the way you read it, 799 times 80 minus 5460 divided by 80, you're going to get a different number, because order of operations, when you put it in this way, your calculator is going to multiply this first, then it's going to divide this, and then it's going to subtract this multiplication with this division. But what I need it to do is simplify the top and then divide the entire thing by 80. So if I was to type this part in by itself without knowing what the top was, you can do it one of two ways. You can just figure out what the top is and then divide by 80, or put it all in using your n over d. So alpha y equals n over d. And now when I put all of this in, now I will get my answer. Okay, now when you use that n over d, you're going to get your answer in the form of a fraction, but we can change that into a decimal. So I'm going to go math. Usually we change it into a fraction. This time I want to go down and change my answer into a decimal. And there's my $730.75. So please make sure you enter that in right. You either need to use your n over d function, or you need to get a value for the top number and then divide that by the bottom number. Do not type that all in the way you read it.